I called it. I said it. You can check the film. Jujutsu Kaisen hidden inventory and premature death arcs were some of the craziest things I've ever seen. I think that this is probably the best arc of the show so far, and I heard that this season is only supposed to get crazier. So before this new arc starts, maybe a little after, you know how I get, I wanted to take a look back at these 5 episodes and really process what happened, or just yap for however long. Either way, this is the Jujutsu Kaisen hidden inventory and premature death retrospective. This video is titled The Origins of Geto Suguru because this whole arc is how he gained his ideals that are present throughout the first season of Jujutsu Kaisen, but most notably throughout the Jujutsu Kaisen movie where he has a lot more screen time. You'd think that this arc was just a flashback for Gojo, and you wouldn't be wrong, but this is definitely context for our main villain. But as you continue to watch, you wonder, is Geto really a villain? This first episode isn't too extravagant, it's just setting up the plot for the next couple of episodes. Geto and Gojo are assigned to retrieve the star plasma vessel for Tengen. Tengen is the main thing that fuels the sorcerers within the school and the school itself. If something happens to the vessel, Tengen will become something more than human, and when that happens, the whole Jujutsu world falls apart. Like I said, nothing too crazy was happening in this episode. A lot of it was just initiating for the rest of the show. I really like the contrast between Gojo and Geto, and it really shows how connected these two were. We also get a monologue of Geto talking about how he's the only one that's able to taste and eat curses. Now let me tell you now, hold on to that. Gojo and Geto are able to gather the star plasma vessel Riko, who knows she's being assimilated into Tengen, so she wants to go back to her school just to spend some time with her friends right before the ritual. Riko is then attacked at the school because she has a bounty on her head. The star religious group and other sorcerers are trying to get this bounty. I didn't write anything else in this episode because it really wasn't anything to write about. Like it was just, I just watched it and that was it. Now, episode 3. This is where the turning point is. Episode 3 sees Gojo and Geto getting the Jujutsu high with Riko, but they're being followed by Toji Fushiguro, formerly known as Toji Zenin. Gojo hasn't slept in the whole 48 hours that the bounty was out, and on top of that, he's been using cursed energy the whole time. Gojo lets his guard down and Toji's able to go in for a successful ambush. Geto rushes Riko to the ritual site where he gives her the option to either live or be assimilated with Tengen. Either way, he was going to support her because him and Gojo were the strongest. Just as this happens, she gets shot in the head. Toji killed the vessel after time was up, knowing that Gojo was going to let his guard down. He also killed Gojo while he was at it. This episode had one of the most gut-wrenching scenes in the entire show. There's so much to unpack, I really don't even know where to start. So with the episode itself, the animation was spectacular. The fight between Gojo and Toji was crazy and one of the highlights of the episode. The unexpected turn at the end of the episode also had me screaming for help because it was so unexpected. It felt like the fourth wall was broken in a way because the ending music started playing, almost reassuring me. It made me feel like Riko had the capacity to live a normal life, but then she dies. She just gets fucking killed, and then the ending just leaves you there to sit and think about the stuff you just watched as it plays again, and you watch her in the ending. This is some of the best. This is like crazy. I said before, this is one of the best watching experiences I've had. Like, this is really, like, it's so crazy. That's the only way I can describe it. It's so crazy. And then watching the ending and the opening, it parallels what happened to Junpei and Yuji, because we saw him a whole bunch in the opening and it made it seem like he was going to change his life around. No, he dies too. This episode had me fuming, excited, curious, all at the same time, and I expected no less from this season. This was like the best episode so far. Geto confronts Toji and loses. Don't worry, he's still alive. Toji then delivers the corpse of Riko to the Star Religious Group and Toji gets his payment. The Star Religious Group leader needed Riko to stop the assimilation to fuel their own religious beliefs. He talked about how sorcerers have rights that normal people don't, so doing this would fundamentally make everyone equal. Or at least that's what I got from it. As Toji finishes his job up, he's met with the ecstasy-filled Gojo who's out to kill him. Gojo is successfully able to fend off Toji with the completion of his purple curse technique. At the end of the episode, Geto is able to get to the religious group's base and see that the followers are still there, and as that happens, Gojo walks out the crowd. Now this scene right here is, I wanted to make a whole video about this on its own, but I forgot to talk about the whole season because everything in the season was crazy. Because as we see it right now, Geto becomes the villain and Gojo is considered one of the good guys, but this interaction is what really makes you think. At one point, both of these guys are standing in the white room, and the color white can be associated with purity, righteousness, goodness, or whatever you want to describe it as. Gojo then asks, should we kill these guys? And we can see that Geto is taken back by this and tells him no. Gojo then walks into the hallway and we get this shot of them standing in a red light and a white light. This is where we start to question the ideals of Gojo and Jujutsu High. Are they really as righteous as we expected them to be? Do Jujutsu sorcerers have too much control over the normal world? And is Geto really wrong? Dude, this, like, I just love talking about, like, moral and ethical dilemmas, man. Like, this is crazy. This episode starts a year later from the incident, and Geto repeats his monologue from the first episode. He says that no one understands his experience with exercising curses, but now he's challenging the beliefs unlike before. These aren't really his beliefs, and these ideals of protecting others from curses were clearly given to him by someone else. Geto later has a conversation with Yuki Tsukumo, another special great sorcerer. They have a conversation about curing the world of curses entirely. The basic gist of the conversation was either everyone is a sorcerer, or destroy the curse energy entirely. The only feasible option to Geto was to live in a world with only sorcerers, since they understand the idea of cleansing the earth of curses. Only a sorcerer will understand the ideas he has. Everyone else is lost, so he goes off and kills his parents and a whole village just to prove that his idea is the only one worth trying. Gojo gets news of this and pursues Geto. Of course, they disagree about what's going on, but Geto says that since he isn't as powerful as Gojo, he's doing whatever he can to achieve his goal and will not change his mind about it. Gojo can't push himself to kill him. He realizes that being physically strong isn't the sole thing that encompasses the idea of strength, and Geto starts his campaign to destroy all non-sorcerers. Now this is one of the craziest watches I've had in a while. Episode 3, 4, and 5 were so eye-opening. All the dots that weren't connected suddenly just clicked. In my review for the movie, I said that Geto wasn't the strongest villain, and I completely take that back. I talked about how there would be no substitution for him in the movie for like another villain, but then having that context now, just to me, it just makes the movie and him so much more cohesive, so much better. Like, I understand why Gojo was talking to him at the end of the movie, and I understand why he was after Yuta, and it just, again, it all makes so much more sense. I do have some questions like, is Geto a hypocrite? From what I understand and from what I watched, Geto's idea is that Jujutsu sorcerers should not be any stronger than what regular people are, and equality is one of the most important values to him. And if push comes to shove, the weak should be able to overpower the strong, which is echoed earlier in the show and in the movie. But if he's making a society full of sorcerers, isn't he becoming what he's calling out? I don't know, it's just food for thought. Like I said before and earlier in the video, this is one of the best watching experiences I've had in a very, very long time. Every episode kept me engaged, and some of them even had me yelling. If you don't watch the show, I highly recommend starting now before the next arc drops on the 31st. I heard that the Shibuya incident is one of the craziest things in the entire series. But for now, thanks for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. And I'm sorry for the last video. I'm so sorry. Sorry.